So, what is your name and what are your certifications?
My name is Amber Warren, and I am Advanced BEI certified.
Awesome. And are you an ITP graduate?
Nope.
What is your preferred field to interpret and why?
As of right now, I'm interpreting VRS, but I really enjoyed interpreting college courses when I was in college.
Would you enjoy it now, even though you're out of college?
I think so. It's just interesting always getting to learn more. And when you interpret school, you always get to learn more. Not that you don't when you interpret other things, but I enjoy that.
But school's meant to teach, so it makes sense. What is it just college that you think you're into, or would it be all schools, or since you only really interpreted college classes, that's all you know?
I have not interpreted public school, but I don't think that I would enjoy that as much, probably because I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
I would want to overstep my boundaries there. So.
Go in and start teaching. Yeah. How long have you been interpreting?
Good question. 9 years, I think.
Around there, somewhere.
Something about 9 years, yeah.
What has interpreting taught you about yourself?
Taught me about myself? I'm not sure about that, but it has helped me improve. It's helped me with my memory skills, for sure. I am a much better, I can organize my thoughts much more clearly. I can remember things a lot better. I think it also helps to have some compassion for those who are in a more difficult situation than you. And it also helps to cherish those that you already have, because you end up dealing with people that you're really glad aren't in your life.
That is a very positive way of looking at it.
It is. It is.
What is one of your worst experiences in interpreting for VRS?
For VRS. By the time I got into VRS, I was pretty good at just brushing it off and walking away. I have been told, stupid interpreter, because I didn't understand a sign that was completely different than what I had ever learned. It's always scary when you get a 911 call. The little notification noise that there's a different noise for when a deaf caller comes in and when a hearing caller comes in. And then there's a completely different noise when it's a 911 call.
Gotcha.
And when you hear that noise, your heart just goes. I personally have not had a terrible 911 experience, but I have had coworkers who have. So I have had to do 911 calls before. But
that just sounds too scary. And is it, if you get a 911 call, I know you were saying the other day that you have to be online for a certain amount of time, and you can't take that much time to just like debrief if you have a difficult situation. What if it's a 911 call that you're not comfortable taking? Can you get somebody else to take it?
When a 911 call comes in, you automatically have a team requested. So when you're in a call, you can request the team if you're feeling, I need some help with this, or even if it's going to be a long call, I need somebody to switch back and forth. Sometimes we'll get conference calls and the caller will say it's going to be an hour. And then I go, okay, team. So that team's there and knows what's going on and we can switch back and forth. You can't decline a call.
No.
Now, the client can say, I want a different interpreter, and you can return them to the queue, which is the line, and hope they end up with somebody different.
Yeah. So it is possible for them to get back into the queue and then end up with you again.
But when you return them to the queue, you can specify like male, female.
Gotcha.
Languages. Sometimes you'll have somebody say, I need a Spanish interpreter. Or sometimes it'll be a male who is calling about something personal, medical, whatever, and they would be more comfortable with a male interpreter. I have had, I actually thought, a bad experience, not because of the call, not because of the people in the call, but because of the team that I requested.
Oh no.
So if you're teaming with an interpreter, even if that you feel like that interpreter is above you or that interpreter is doing just fine, you still need to be conscious and attentive to the communication.
Just in
because
case.
sometimes when we call for a team, it's not so much I need help, it's that I just need somebody to tell me, yes, you're right, you're doing a good job. Because sometimes you have clients that you're going, I think I understand. I'm not positive. So I just need that double check.
Yeah.
And this team was paying attention for a little while, realized that I was doing okay, and I decided to check Facebook. So
In the middle of his call?
oh, he wasn't on the screen. So it was, unfortunately, I'm on screen. I'm doing the live interpreting in the hot seat. He was plugged into the hearing, so he could hear it and he could see the deaf client, but realized that I didn't need him, and I decided to be on Facebook. So that was a bad experience.
Yeah.
Because it really frustrated me. And
because he wasn't there giving you your reassurance. He was just having fun.
exactly. Taking advantage of being off the phone himself.
Yeah. So. Is there anything you can do if a situation like that happens, or you're just going to have to?
I can stop teaming. I can close the teaming, and then he'll be in the system as off the phones. And we can only be off the phones 10 minutes an hour. So.
Gotcha. So if it was for long enough, then he gets in trouble or something.
Or if it was during a no-fly zone, which is a specific time that we're not supposed to log off to make sure that there's always interpreters available. So our center has a specific no-fly zone time. Other centers have different times throughout the hour. So if other centers are logged off during that time, we can't log off to make sure there's always interpreters there.
Gotcha. What was your biggest takeaway from that worst experience?
Pride in my ethics.
That's true.
I'm not a perfect interpreter. I'm not perfect ethically, but I take pride in what I do and how I do it. And to not work with him, if possible.
Do you have certain interpreting techniques that you use while interpreting, higher demand assignments, like sex calls on VRS, medical appointments?
I don't do medical because I don't feel qualified to do it. I have not had to be in a very awkward situation with VRS. I've come close, and then luckily somebody had to get off the phone or whatever. I just try and put my own personal feelings aside and remind myself that everybody has the right.
Yep.
Even if it's not something I would prefer to do, you have the right to do it yourself.
So not for medical, since you said you don't want to do that, but for any other situation, like your uncomfortable situation that you got close to, if it did happen, do you have the right to say, can I transfer you to another interpreter? I don't feel comfortable with this. Or do you just have to put your feelings aside and go for it?
I don't know that there's a you're allowed, you're not allowed answer to that. I personally would go talk to my supervisor and ask in that situation. If you're unsure, always ask. I think that you can, but it's not encouraged because technically it's an ethical thing that you're declining your services to that client. However, that client still has the opportunity to work with another interpreter. Because it's VRS, it's a lot easier to back out and send to somebody else. In a live situation, it would be a little more sticky. And I have heard of interpreters who ended up at an assignment either with somebody they're uncomfortable with or with a topic they're uncomfortable with, And they said, please request another interpreter, but stayed until that other interpreter arrived.
Gotcha.
So sometimes you have to stick it out for a little while.
Yeah. What do you think of your local interpreting company? How do practitioners treat one another?
So VRS, I guess. I think that we have, since my last experience that I told you about with that interpreter, we have definitely improved, and I love the people in my office. I really enjoy chatting with them on our short breaks that we do have, and they are very supportive. So if you are in a situation where you just need that
Reassurance.
right, support's not the word English word I'm thinking of, but that reassurance. They're ready and willing to give it.
Da-da-dum. What? Oh, wrong one. What do you find challenging in VRS in field compared to any other interpreting that you've done?
The uncertainty of what you're about to get. I have hardly done much community work. So I feel like community work, it would be more difficult dealing with the whole political part of, maybe not political, but financial, making sure you get paid, who to contact, having it all documented. Whereas working at VRS is a lot easier because it's, you come and go, you get paid. I think the hardest part compared to interpreting college, which is what I have more experience doing, is not knowing what's about to come up. I knew in college, I'm going to go interpret for this client in this classroom for this subject. Whereas in VRS,
You just have to get ready.
who knows? You never know. Is it going to be a 911 call? Is somebody going to be unconscious on screen? Is it going to be a fight? Is it going to be a sexual call? Is it going to be emotional? You never know. And it's a constant change between them sometimes. Sometimes it's very dull. Interpreting,
To the point. Yeah.
make an appointment or refill a prescription or whatever. And then sometimes it's very frustrating because you do have clients who do not have strong language skills. And if they are calling, let's say, IT for tech support,
No, yeah.
or if you have automated services and the deaf person, oh, let me go get my credit card, and the automated service, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Please repeat. And so sometimes you end up frustrated.
What can you do in situations like that? You're just gonna have to recall and restart it.
Usually, sometimes it'll say, it'll give you the option to say, I don't have it, or give me a moment, and then I'll let you pause. Sometimes when a hearing person is calling a deaf person and it's a recording, it's not a live person, then you have to jump to the sign mail and leave a message, and you've missed some of that information already. So that can be frustrating too.
Gotcha. What have you, have you ever experienced, I don't know this word, I think it's vicarious trauma while on the job? If so, how did you overcome it?
So, a secondhand experience. So,
gotcha.
Living vicariously through you. No. Trauma, I wouldn't say no, but I have left situations feeling down or feeling frustrated for. I mean, I've had hour-long calls being transferred from department to department trying to get billing situation taken care of, and then disconnected.
Oh my God.
And of course the client is extremely upset, frustrated, and I feel for them, but it's not my call either. So
and there's nothing you can do.
And then there's some just ignorant hearing people out there that you wish you could educate, and you can't necessarily step in.
Yeah. How do you self-care?
Probably not well.
I was about to say, do you have time to self-care?
The fact that I love ASL in the deaf community is very helpful in that because interpreting gives me the opportunity to interact more with more people, to get away from students, to sign full speed rather than signs. I love bubble baths and candles, and I make sure to get workouts in hopefully 2 to 3 times a week.
Just to de-stress.
Well, if I don't, I just can't keep up physically because it is exhausting, especially being a teacher in general is exhausting, but then doing sign language teaching or interpreting, it's physically and mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
So I have to keep my body up to par to be able to handle it. Otherwise, it's just...
You're just all gone. Have you noticed that from when you started teaching to going to interpreting, has your skills not gone down, but has it been more difficult just because you have to lower your skill level for them, or does the interpreting help because you have your practice, you have your signing normal?
Both are correct. I feel I do get frustrated because I don't have the immersion that I would like in the deaf community. I have my deaf friends around here, but I need more.
Yeah.
A lot of them tend to SimCom sometimes, or I just don't get the opportunity to interact with them as much as I would like. So interpreting does help me keep my skills up. If I get to go work VRS once a week, a couple times a month, and it helps me de-stress sometimes. Honestly, sometimes I go to work and I leave feeling more energized than I did when I got there.
Really?
Usually whenever I'm done with kids, and it's a good day, and I feel accomplished, and I feel like I did my job well, and I leave going, okay. You know,
What's
so
that?
sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's frustrating, sometimes it's exhausting, but I think that it does help me keep my skills up, and it helps me keep my knowledge to teach up. So I'm learning new signs, new concepts, new perspectives while doing it.
I didn't think of that. What is one of your most memorable experiences while on an assignment?
Positive, negative, doesn't really matter.
Yep. Let's go with positive, since all the other ones have been negative.
I will never forget an interpreter I worked with in college, because I was a math major as well. And this interpreter and we were the main math interpreters. We both enjoyed math. We understood math. Whereas a lot of the interpreters that I got teams with who weren't her
Struggled.
they tended to not get the concept clear. And because I was a major at the time, it was difficult for me sometimes. But she and I would debrief after an assignment, or if it was independent work time during the class, we would just go back and forth, like, so how would you sign this? But this concept, how is this clear? And we would just analyze everything. and the most memorable part was figuring out how to sign the difference between an expression and an equation in mathematics. Because the way we were signing it for a while was equation, because it's basically a math sentence, is what it is. Equation. And then I remember I was in the hot seat and the professor said, an expression is not an equation.
Oh no.
And we had been using this for both because they were used in different concepts and contexts. And when he said that, I went, and I looked at my team, and she was like, so how do we do that? So we ended up figuring out and setting up that this is an expression. When it's an equation with an equal sign. And then we got into inequalities. Well, now it's an expression with an inequality sign. And so we were able to clarify, and that was a lot of fun figuring out.
What is there something you wish you would have known about the interpreting profession that you now know?
Before deciding to get into it? I can't think of anything. Honestly, I didn't really decide to get into it, and I think I've told you before, but it kind of fell into my lap in college. So I was able to do a mentorship, and I was kind of pulled into it rather than searching for it because I was going to college to be a teacher. So I didn't really think about it before I started doing it. Honestly.
It just happened?
It just kind of happened.
Then how do you keep your professionalism in uncomfortable situations? I feel like that'd be more a personality thing, if you can do it or if you can't do it.
It is partly. It's if you have those strong ethics. I mean, here, for example, I have interpreted the statement, ISIS has got the right idea.
Oh my God.
And so just, of course, in your mind, you're thinking, you idiot. What is wrong with you? But ethically, you have every right to say that. So just because I had those ethics in place, and I truly believe everybody has that right, I would never, ever want to hang out with, be friends with you, ever.
No.
You are not the kind of person I have any interest in. But
was this a phone call or a live?
it was a phone call. And it went on and on.
About this topic?
Yeah,
Or,
and others.
Oh.
Yeah.
So in that situation, would you, what I asked about earlier, if there's a situation that you just feel comfortable with and you want to pass off, would you have been able to pass it off to another interpreter, or did you just not really care that much and just?
I think that I mean, I would always be able to.
Oh, yeah.
Ethically, I don't think it would be right. And that's why I didn't. I think the best solution in that situation would be to call for a team. Because it's there, it's a lot easier to do. Now, if it were a community assignment, tough luck. But like I said, if you're really, really, really uncomfortable and I think the only way to really go about ethically considering this would be to say, I am so uncomfortable in this situation that I am not doing my job well. Now, if you can still do your job well, whether you're uncomfortable or not, ethically, I think you should.
It's their right and it's your job. All right. And last one, have you ever wanted to quit interpreting?
One time, and it was when I was just getting started and I wasn't really even full interpreter or anything. I told you I did that mentorship. Well, I was always with a certified interpreter, and then one day it was a last minute interpreter was sick. They needed me there. It wasn't a class that I had done before, and that was the issue. I went in. I should not have accepted it, but this really helped me build those ethics. And I did a terrible job. But because they put me in it because it was a math class, but it was a class that I hadn't taken before.
Oh, so you knew nothing about this topic.
Correct. And I could just see my client's face was so frustrated. And that was the one time I've left an assignment and cried. And I think that's good though. I
Yeah.
think that feeling made me want to do my job well and always want to keep doing my job well. So
So it made you want to quit, but it also made you want to try harder at the same time. Gotcha. All right. Well, that is it. Thank you very much.
you're very welcome.